All right, Grayson. Tell us, what does your mom do for a living?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she cleans the house.
What does she do for a living?
Mortgage rate. Everybody has that job.
Everybody does mortgages.
What's a mortgage?
I have no idea.
Thank you, buddy.
So hi, hello, how are you?
Hi.
Everybody, welcome to Wham! This is Wine and Mortgage, which I've been
There's music
contemplating.
going on.
I've been contemplating. Perhaps I may change it to whatever in mortgage.
You know what?
Because I have
I
wake up
mean,
juice.
yeah.
Sometimes
You got
people do whiskey. Whatever your W is, grab it, hang out with us for a bit.
Please.
Because today, again, of course, because it is what we do, we have a special guest.
Woohoo!
So today we have Miss Cheyenne, but I'm going to let her do her full introduction.
Oh, all right.
Go.
Well, good morning, y'all. I am Cheyenne Sprouse. I have the job of marketing director for Redfish Inspections, which means I don't crawl under their houses, thank God. I get to spend a lot of time hanging out with you guys, getting to learn about your business and seeing how we can partner up.
Sounds good.
Nice.
So you do like a lot of things, though.
I do a whole slew of things. There's not, when we got into business together, the owner started the company. He was a single man operator for a while. We met mutually through the realtor that we both had in purchasing houses. And he said, I don't know anything about marketing, but you have a great personality, so will you come work for me and attract people? And I said, okay.
He thought it would
So
work.
yeah, I wing a lot of it. But I came from a background of photography, so it was just kind of a nice little tie-in for realtors because you guys need pictures.
She did my headshots.
Yes, I did.
I can attest to that
Could you
too.
do
She
family
does
photos
fabulous.
if I want one?
do.
From a fellow photographer, she does fabulous work.
We need
They
family
do.
photos.
We
We've had a
definitely
family
do.
photo since Bryson was like, I don't know, 2 or 3.
And I tell you what, I get
He's 8 now.
Yeah, I do a whole slew of things, but I do not do real estate photography. I tried to dabble in that for a hot minute and was not me. So these guys,
That's
your real estate photography and videography.
It's different. It's very
funny thing
different
is,
photography.
They're totally different artistic styles
Hell yeah.
and totally two different animals. People think one is the other. No. I hate shooting people. Well, and I have to be careful when I say stuff like this.
You know, not many of us like to shoot people, but
But
whatever.
we'll be like, Jeff and I'll be talking, and we're
They're
like,
close to
we have to be careful what we say because we'll be like, oh, I'm shooting Sonny today, and oh, I'm shooting Jen, and
I know you can't even say capturing people because then it sounds sus too.
yeah,
we got a wham shoot today.
yeah. So we gotta be careful, but
Yeah.
it's
So, realty photographer, personal photographer.
Yes.
I'm going to call you for my family photos.
Yeah, please
Seriously.
let me know.
Swear to goodness.
I'll tell you, right now we're getting way off into the Christmas stuff, which sounds insane. It's 110 degrees outside, but I am
but-
fully booked now for Christmas, which has been a blessing.
I want some fall photos, though, for sure. We need some. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome, Cheyenne. I'm glad you came.
Thanks
And
for
of
having
course,
me.
obviously, we have John here. He's here every week to keep me in line. And I am jen.ray.
attempt.
If you don't know, we just remind you.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk a couple of things about, well, obviously within inspections. We'll dabble into the other stuff you do because you do so much. But, and we might, cross over into personal stuff because it's just what we do.
Okay.
But to start with, I'm super intrigued by the whole realm of inspections because one, I as a lender, we don't require it.
Right.
But it's very different than an appraisal, and that's the biggest, like,
Kind of
what's the difference?
misconception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
misconception that buyers will have. They're like, what's the difference? And I'm like, the easiest way to explain it is the appraisal is what is the worth of your home, and inspection is what is the condition of your
Right.
home. And a lot of times when they give inspections, they freak out. So explain why they freak out, because people are probably okay, why do they freak out? But
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
reason they do.
Well,
It's a lot of info.
obviously, money speaks, right? It's a big thing. It's a very, when you're purchasing a house, it's a very emotional topic, right? You can be coming from divorces or deaths or first homes, and there's not really anybody out there that guides you in what to expect.
Yeah.
So all they just start seeing is dollar signs. And we try to tell
Fix.
we try to tell everybody it's real subjective. The way that we report is very non-alarmist.
Okay.
When you look at the report, we try to talk you off the ledge because you start seeing pages and pages of things. So when we walk over an inspection report with people, we tell them, hey, this is a $7 fix. Or, hey, you're okay right now with your roof, but you need to start budgeting that in 5 years, you're going to have to replace this. So you have some expectation of how to budget your money and what you need to address sooner than later.
Sure.
But yeah, it's
Would
just
you
it's
say-
intimidating sometimes.
Would you say instead of freaking out about an inspection, an inspection is generally, because this is how I describe it to them, and I hope that I'm not saying it incorrectly, but I tell them, I'm like, don't let the inspection freak you out. Yeah. It is a honey-do list, as in maintenance over the next 15 years that you're going to be in this house, what needs to be done, and hey, this is settling here, hey, this is blah, blah, blah here, but this isn't something immediate. Your house isn't going to fall apart. It's nothing that it needs to be done at all within the next year or so. It's just a to-do list, right?
Yeah, we tell everybody it's really informative. It's what you decide to do with it. If you're purchasing new construction, depending on how the market's going, you might have some leeway to convince that builder to knock a little bit, fix the things, knock a little bit off on the sale price, negotiate things down. But if you're buying an established home, there's just certain things that come with the age of the home.
Right.
We were talking earlier, if you build a house in the 90s, which to me doesn't seem that long ago, but, it's turned 40.
There's some people that the 90s is like old school
My
now.
kids call it the late 1900s.
Girl,
Oh.
they're like, you were born in the 1900s? Yeah.
So my thing is, I'm very shocked. I am already very shocked because I know nothing about any of this stuff. And I'll be the first one to say it.
co-host.
But I am, and I think that brings a whole different light into the text here because I'm not an expert in this stuff, So I ask questions that I think maybe these
Your
people
buyers,
would be
your
asking.
people would be asking.
Okay? I'm very shocked to hear that you as a lender don't require an inspection. I know as a buyer, you should absolutely have an inspection.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But I'm surprised to hear that you as a lender don't require it. I know a lot of this stuff you're going to learn in seller disclosures and all that kind of stuff, but I'm surprised that lenders don't actually require inspection.
Well, let me be very clear though, because a lot of times the appraisals are like they set inspection dates for the appraisal. But, but appraisals we require because we only want to know if you default on your loan, I got to take your house. Yep. Can I sell it and get my money back?
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's all we care about.
Taking something that's worth what you're lending. How do you know that? How do you define that?
Appraisal, because the market will tell you the worth of a home.
Okay.
So, because there are places in Kemah, or let's just say there's places that are on the water, they're waterfront.
Oh, sure.
Somebody's, there's something about that house that somebody will pay way more for that house than a brand new one in an area that's like, downfallen or whatever. So the market will tell you what your home is worth.
Okay.
That's why we require it. We require the appraisal, which the market does the comparables of this sold for this sold for this. So this house will go for this if for any reason you need to sell it and make money on your defaulted loan. But the inspection is going to tell you this is what somebody would pay for your house, but this is where your house is at right now. This is like the
kind of function-wise.
This is the physicality of your house. Like there might be some things that you can't see to the naked eye that later might seep through. So an inspection is like an appraisal. It's a couple of pictures and, maybe the longest appraisal I've ever seen with all the comparables and pictures included is like 20 pages.
So can I tell you, I'll give you a little trivia
very
here.
Thick.
Yeah,
How many pictures are required in an inspection report? Do you guys know?
I'm going to guess.
Ooh.
10.
I would are required?
Required.
I'm guessing 10. I'm wrong. I can already tell you. Just by the way Cheyenne's looking, she's like, sucker.
I don't know.
1.
I was going to say, I don't think there's any. My inspection has no pictures.
The one picture it requires
Maybe
is
it has the one picture.
Front of
the house. There you go.
The front cover of the report. That's it. Right?
Really?
I wish I would have said 0 because I was really like, my inspection had none except for on the front page.
You were closer than I was.
That's it, man. And I'll tell you, so
you guys are more words, that's why it's overwhelming.
Sometimes. I will say we are a very visual generation, right? So many things. Instagram is mainly pictures.
Yeah.
So we really try to put as many pictures in there. So if you're not with us and you're looking at that report, you can go, okay, here's this little spot. I know where I'm at. And they can navigate through it.
So 0 pictures are required, and obviously we're very visual.
Just the one. So we try to put a lot of pictures in there so that people can navigate through that report and know where that spot is or see what we're seeing.
So you put pictures, even though it's not
pictures. Yeah, we
Good.
do a lot of pictures.
I appreciate that because it is much easier to say, Like if you had a bunch of words that was saying, this is settling and this needs, like the brick, the separation of the brick, that's a huge thing that freaks people out usually. Like the need to be caulked, they need to be did. If you show a picture and it looks normal,
The picture tells 1,000 words.
I'm telling you, it's the words that freak people out. I wish more inspectors would do.
We do a lot of pictures. The minimum standard report size in Texas is 7 pages. 1 page is a picture of the front of the house, and then the rest of it's just kind of your systems. So from there, it's up to each inspection company to decide, we've met the minimum. What else are we going to include in here?
1 picture, 7 pages?
Yep, that's it.
Why are they so much thicker?
Well, because when you are actually going through and inspecting things that you're good,
you find stuff.
I was going to say, I've never seen a 7-page inspection.
And I'll tell you what, when we bought our first house, the guy that owns our company, he was the second buyer. So we had an agent. We were her very first transaction, right? So she had no clue how to guide us. We had no
green
clue
thumb.
we didn't know what to look for. She goes, here's my inspector. He's going to be here on this day. Cut him a check, $350. And then you just move about your day.
Pretty cheap, too.
$350, yep. So he got there. I got a 7-page report, said nothing was wrong with my house.
So you got $350 worth, didn't you?
Yeah. And moved in, and surely enough, there were some things wrong with my house.
Of course.
And I gave her a gift certificate because I had her show me 52 houses in a week. And later on, I felt, that was kind of bad. I learned my friends say 5 houses, 6 houses. And so I gave her a gift certificate for photos for her family. And because she was a poor new agent, she gave that gift certificate to her next buyer, which was Will, the owner of our company. And, same thing. He had an inspection report, 7 pages long. And he goes, okay. And, moved into his house and the same story, right? Nice. But the nice thing about him is he had a background in building and exporting log cabins. He grew up in Finland. So he had some sort of knowledge of, of building.
Wow. Am I tying this together, though? Her second buyer was the owner of Redfin?
Yeah, Redfish. Uh-huh.
Or it's what, Redfish?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It happens a lot.
It has, because it's got fins on fishes. I do say Redfin all the time. I know it's Redfish. So Will, and then, so did you know him?
No, I didn't know him.
So she gave
that gift certificate to him.
And then,
as a closing gift.
How did y'all meet?
He called me. He said, I got this gift certificate from my realtor. We want to schedule family pictures. Will you come do them? I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
And then he said, you're a great personality. Yeah. I think you should come.
So I photographed his baby's
house.
Crazy.
2005, 2006, somewhere around there.
It is amazing how small the world really is.
How things work.
Serendipitous.
Will pulled her in. What's his last name?
Gates. Never met another Mize Gates before. It's a very interesting. So his family.
I'm going to look him up.
She will too.
So that's
gonna be all over.
Nothing to do with the name of our company. His parents were from here. They were missionaries. So he grew up in France, and then as a young adult moved to Finland and finished growing up there. So they're very worldly, I guess. But
worldly.
he with Redfish is not because we live by the bay, which I do love Redfish and we fish for them. But in France, he's a redhead, and they called him Little Fish because he played basketball, so he was the littlest guy on the team. So, however they say it in French, which I can't do, basically translated to Little Redfish. So when he got here, he's like, I'm just going to call my company Redfish.
Look at all the stuff we're learning today. Look at all the stuff we're learning today. I like that. That's a really cool... Okay, so Redfish was incorporated in 2006?
He started in 2011.
2011.
Yeah, 11. So got in,
So you bought in 2006.
Yep.
Her second client, when did he buy?
Right after, within months.
In 2006.
Yeah.
And then when did he come see you with your family package?
Oh, right after, like 2006.
So and then he said, "Come market for me." How did you work for him then, or he just called you 6 years later?
So he had started his company and had a single man operator, and we had been in conversation about what he was going to do for marketing for a couple of years. And he goes, let me get this thing launched. Let me see how it's going to do. I need to be able to afford to have a marketing person. So I just, once in a while, once a month, picked up the phone. You ready yet?
Got it. Yeah. So it was kind of like
took a minute.
Little journey.
It was good.
That's
it worked out well. It worked out so well that I recruited my husband.
And it's such a great name for this area too.
Yeah.
Redfish, because us outdoors people, we're all about the redfish. I mean, come on.
So if you've got a redheaded little basketball player,
bring him in.
Yeah.
That is awesome, though. Okay, I like it.
We enjoyed the journey so
That's
far.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, so speaking more about inspections and all the stuff that you do, how long does a typical inspection take you to do?
It's going to vary. So we tell people anywhere from 2.5 to 4.5, 5 hours, depending on the size of the house. Some
Okay.
things that are going to affect it are the foundation type. So if it's got a crawl space, we're going to have to get up under there. Takes a little longer. Size of the property, age of the property. You know, we do quite a few of the 100-year-old homes down in Galveston. We do a lot of those.
Yep.
Those take some extra time because they've got some really old systems.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of which, just an aside here.
Yeah.
And I want to see if you've heard of this. We had the pleasure about a year and a half ago of shooting a historical home from the 1920s hurricane. I believe it was 1920s down in Galveston. And it's a beautiful place. Beautiful, beautiful home. It's in the historic district. And when we're walking through, this has original hardwood floors in it.
Awesome.
But every once in a while, you would see this little circle in the floor. Do you know what that is?
Central.
Some of them have had all kinds of little outlets down
No,
there.
no.
What is it?
What was it? Tell me.
No. It's cork.
Okay.
It is a
To
piece
release
of cork.
water out.
It's a piece of cork that whenever a flood situation comes in, and then now this is 1920s thinking.
Yep.
Which I think in a lot of ways is better than
They had some great engineering.
2023 thinking.
Yeah.
You know, they would basically pop that cork in the floor so that the home wouldn't float away.
Oh, okay.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's wild.
It was just an aside. I thought that was worth mentioning.
I do like though in the older and I see it more in the older homes down in Galveston with the hardwoods where they put the actual electrical
Yeah, and
outlets in the floor.
Yes.
I like that much more, especially when you have a grand
Some of
space.
those are massive spaces, right? And then
And then you put a lamp beside your thing, and it's dragged all across the floor.
Yeah.
It's like I do like if it's a grand space. Even in new homes, they forget to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents have a really grand space. I was like, yeah, they got no damn outlets in your floor.
But I've noticed in the new homes, a lot of the furniture, what they're thinking in their design is that their furniture is going to be up against the wall.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
it's
is
like no.
Which for a grand room, you would want it in
Exactly.
the
If
middle
it's an
and then-
open space.
My parents have a big couch in the middle,
Yeah.
but on the back of it, they have like little tables that you can kind of go up to. You know what I mean? And so she's creative, so she figured out a way around it. But
I saw a meme the other day that's like, you know, when you're rich when you have a couch in the middle of the living room.
Mom, you're rich.
There you go, Mom.
Seriously, or what do they say? They like if you're dating a guy and you go to his house, if his they say look at the placement of his bed. If his placement,
What?
they say if his placement is in the corner versus in the middle of the room, like on the wall in the middle,
Yeah.
two different personalities.
I tell you, my OCD cannot put that thing
Wow!
off to the
Hang
side.
on. Why would any guy ever put a bed in the corner of the freaking room?
Oh, you would be surprised.
See, does that tell something about my personality?
You would be
My teenager does. I have to
surprised
ask him.
about how many people
Oh my god!
I know that put their beds straight into the corner. It's like they tuck and it's in the corner. Oh, you'd be surprised.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, you knew some
Dude.
college guys that did that. It's mostly like a young guy thing. They just put
More room for activities in the middle of the floor.
yeah, because like everything, like, they got their dumbbells and they're working out in their room. They're doing everything in their room because they got roommates.
Some guys are
So
more
everything's
worried
done
about
in their room.
activity. Never mind. I'm not
Even
No, they're like, when you're
Stop.
dating, make sure, does he have it in the middle of the wall or is it in the corner?
Because if it's in the corner of the wall, ladies, experience teaching here. If it's in the corner, this guy has no space for you.
Oh, yeah.
Or he's
And I
got.
tell you what, I'm claustrophobic, so if I end up in that corner, it's done. Well,
That's
He's
my
like,
fault.
he's like, you sleep on the inside. No, get me out of here. I'm gonna look that up. We're not though.
She's looking it up now.
No. We'll continue with the fun stuff. Okay, so 2.5 hours to 4.5 hours, maybe 5 hours.
Yeah.
Would you say how many do you do in? Because I would say you do one a day. Or have you done like 3 to 4 a day?
I typically do 2 to 3 a day, and I've got 6
So they're
guys with me
working
right now.
like
Yeah, they're hustling. It's busy right
How
now.
many do you have working now?
I have 6.
you got 6 guys.
I need 2 more, so if you know anybody, want to make the move, have a
There you go.
conversation.
Hey,
yeah.
plug.
Yeah. Our capacity is about 40 to 45 a week. We just
That's
hit our
good.
1,000th inspection for the year a couple of days ago, which was exciting. And
That's really good.
Nice. I can tell you right now, I'm not the guy to go underneath one of
I
those.
am not, and I tell you what, my husband is like a $135. He can make it up under there, and he's very spry. Whereas I want to stay
Listen,
in the AC.
My thing is, there's rattlesnakes up in there.
I know.
Worse than that is roaches. No.
I don't think that I'm claustrophobic,
100% am. You can't hold
but
it
I
for too long.
feel if I was like in a space that I didn't know if it was gonna get smaller and I would get pinched in there, I'm absolutely like not
You'd
going in
freak
there.
out.
Oh, yeah.
You know
You
what I
would
mean?
freak
Like I'm not claustrophobic. Like if I see a small hallway and I know that it's this all the way down, I'm not gonna freak out. I'll just know turn sideways, scrub you through. But if it's dark and I don't know if it's gonna do this,
Yeah.
I'm out. That's why I'm not crawling in a crawl space.
You
I'm
should
not
see
doing
me
it.
and Jeff trying to shoot some of the yachts that we.
Put you in a crawl space.
Oh my gosh, they have doorways or hallways are like that, and we're like, really? So we're like,
Well, other stuff. You know what? It is these big grandiose, like, it's very American.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
overseas.
Oh,
and
you're
it's like,
yeah, I've been to like London and Scotland, and it's just these like hobbit holes.
Yeah,
that you crawl
because
through
they want
the door.
but overseas people are more outdoors. People are just more active than America sometimes.
I
But
don't
like,
think there's Twinkies in the diet over there. So.
but I mean, it is. I when you look at real estate, if you look up real estate in like overseas, it's so different.
Yeah, it's not these big.
It's
Unless you
not
go to a castle or
What?
right.
when
Oh,
my
yeah,
family, we first moved from
Fucking royalty. over
from.
there.
Well, yeah, we are royalty in Scotland, but
Are you?
yeah, we are.
You big rich, huh? Where's your couch?
I'm gonna look that up.
We have a castle, but when my family moved from Texas to Wisconsin, when I was still just
sorry.
in high school, this realtor, now keep in mind, my dad is a full inch taller than I am.
Oh wow.
Okay,
Which would
And-
be what, 6'8"?
I'm 6'7", he's 6'8". Okay,
Right.
so this realtor shows us this house, and I kid you not, the ceilings in this house were 5 feet,
No.
5.5 feet tall.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm like, why are you even showing us this?
Yeah.
You know?
It's little.
But it's just the difference between literal geography between, even in the States, but I can only imagine like what you're talking
So I'll tell
about.
you, the guy that built our house is Hakeem Olajuwon's brother, and he is equally as tall as Hakeem. And he says, I build all of my houses as if I'm going to live in them.
Nice.
So all of my counters and all are exceptionally tall.
Nice.
The stairs that come down from the ceiling to go to the attic, they didn't have the first 2 rungs because he didn't need them. And I moved in, I'm like, let me drill them in. Right?
Yeah.
But
I
now,
love it.
like,
That's why.
I hate it when I'm standing at a counter and it's at like my knees.
It's like mid-thigh.
now I feel like I'm conditioned because I go to like a regular house with like a regular bathroom counter. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? Peasant stuff.
Well, that's even like the like because I've noticed even again overseas, but like overseas, it's very normal for your washing machine to be in your kitchen.
oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez. What?
No, I'm just saying. Like, do you think over time, just because? Let me ask you a question. You get an alligator, you keep them in a little cage.
This is
They
a
never
really
grow.
hypothetical. Okay.
Right, they never grow, but the larger they grow as they get in bigger spaces. Do you think, right, that we have taller people in America because we build houses
So,
big?
so
I
what she's
just
trying
wonder.
to say is
I'm just
my
saying.
parents should have bought me a little bitty dog house.
And
when I
you'd have
was-
stayed
Get in there.
You'd have stayed tiny. You'd have stayed
Little
tiny.
Little
I've
John
been
Nugget.
busting out of it.
I do think we're you know.
I do. I think
Maybe.
we need some space to move.
You know what
around.
I'm saying? I think that over time we've just kind of grown.
Yeah.
So, Cheyenne, walk us through from the time you get, how does your process start to when your process ends?
Sure. So either you've heard of us, through social media,
Mhm.
and you start searching for a house, or you're working with a realtor that we have convinced to use us, hopefully.
Or they trust you.
That trusts us on the plan. And so you call the schedule. And I've got a fantastic team of client care coordinators. They're available 7 days a week. So you don't have to wait, past the weekend into the next week to call us. You can call us on the weekend. We'll get you scheduled.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's
Yeah.
big. She works on the weekends.
huge.
We work on the weekends. I do. I got inspections on Saturdays as well, so you don't have to wait for that. We
Yeah,
have-
because sometimes going under contract on
it moves
Friday,
fast.
those 5-day options sometimes are like, no, I need you out there.
You lose 2
tomorrow.
days on the weekends. That doesn't work. So we get you down the schedule. A lot of the times we have same day or next day availability, so we get you out pretty quick. We want to be really communicative to all parties. So we call the seller's agent. The seller will talk to the seller, make sure it's cool that we come in there. We talk to the buyer's agent and let them know, hey, we've got your client scheduled for this day if you would like to come.
Yeah.
We invite them to come if they want to.
Do they show up?
Sometimes they do.
Okay.
We generally the last 30 minutes is the best time for them. Because by then our guys are really systematized on how they go through and approach a house. So they all approach the house the same way. So no matter what inspector, they get scheduled, all agents know, hey, I'm going to go in this house the same direction every time.
Yeah.
So we'll go through, sometimes it's a team, sometimes it's a single man operator, just depends on the size of the house and all.
Yeah. Do you prefer, or do your guys prefer that the realtor or the buyer be there or not be there?
It really is up to their comfort. It doesn't, but we say sometimes they come and if they're there for 2 or 3 hours, they start to get bored, right?
Right.
Or they bring mom and dad with them and they got questions and all over the shoulders and maybe dad was a plumber or
I feel like that could be.
Yeah, so we tell them that last 30 minutes because by then the guys have gone through and done all of their things that they do. They start to put the report together and then we go, hey, this is what we found. What questions do you have? If in going to it, when they schedule, they say, I walked through it with my agent and I noticed this spot. Can you pay particular attention to it? Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
so we write up as much as we need to make them feel okay about whatever's happening with that.
Okay, so that being said, like if say for instance, if I'm buying a house and my realtor, we kind of walk through it and we know that we want to put an offer, but perhaps I'm like, hey, I'm worried about this, or this. Then the realtor can give your inspector a list of things. Pay attention to this. I feel like that would be better than them just showing up. Because sometimes I don't know. I feel like sometimes do you like when people show up and watch you work?
You know what? From a real estate photographer's
I can make it work however, but
the perfect transaction for us
Uh-huh.
is the realtor puts a coded lockbox on the front door.
Mm-hmm.
Not a Supra, because we don't do Supra. Because trying to train realtors, the shackle codes and all the stuff that we as not realtors need to get into a Supra, that don't work. So put a coded lockbox on the front door the day before. Make sure everything's shoot ready, because we're not movers and we're not cleaners.
Yep.
We're photographers. So make sure everything's shoot ready.
Right.
We go in, nobody there but us. Because the more people that are present,
the more likely.
now all of a sudden we're having to redo shots because we take bracketed images. And sometimes, you know what I'm talking about, we try to keep a native ISO on our camera. And that means nothing to you, but it means something to you. So our native ISO makes sure our pictures are sharp. And that's where things end up the best in the exposure triad. Yeah. So we're shooting at a native ISO, and some of these homes may be dark, So sometimes we're dealing with multiple bracketed long exposure images.
Yeah, you might have to do a 5 to 10 bracket just to get enough light
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you may be in there shooting one picture for 10 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
all of a sudden here comes
all of a sudden
across.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like
or the family dog or whatever.
Yeah. We're all professional enough to make it work, but there's something to be said about when I'm in my element.
Process.
Easy when it's like
And people don't sell their own houses for a reason.
Drink your wine, girl. Listen to her. She's being so good. She's being so good. She's like, it's early, Jen. Go ahead, Shasta.
But you get a ton of opinions, right? And really when it comes down to it, you're working with your real estate realtor professional, your mortgage professional, your inspector professional, your photographers. They all know what sells, what attracts. So when you start getting these extra opinions, they're like, well, I really like the feature of this, versus come stand over here. It just doesn't work when you go, hey, man, I put this listing pictures up yesterday and I got 600 views on it. So let me just shoot it the way that my trained eye knows how to do it. Let me inspect it the way that my inspectors
stay in your lane.
Yeah. I'm with you. Because sometimes I'll say, and I know that first-time home buyers, second-time home buyers, like any type of home buyer, or sellers, anytime somebody does something, there's always somebody in the ear, and we all understand that. We know that happens. Even my mom does it too.
Yeah.
And so anytime somebody's selling a house or buying a house, they always have like, their neighbor or their brother or their
Everybody's
mother-in-law.
got some input.
Everybody's got, but I always, say to people, it's like, would you let somebody come in and decorate your house? Like, that you decorate different than any of your friends.
Yeah.
So why, if you're not going to let them decorate your house, why would you let them tell you what to be concerned about? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if we've got a bad roof, I get it. But I'm saying, like, the little things. Like, sometimes I'm like, just trust the people that you're working with to give you the information.
Thank you.
And then you can draw your own conclusion as to how you want to move forward.
That's what I was saying earlier. Stay in
because
your
the more
lane.
Yeah, the more opinions, the more they're decorating your house.
Sometimes we'll deal with these realtors, and everybody's a photographer till you put it in manual.
Right.
Right.
I love that we have a photographer here because I can say these things.
Oh, my
and I'm
iPhones take the best pictures.
So, but we deal with so many realtors that think they know what angles in a home sell the home best. And we're like, okay, excuse me, this is kind of what I've been doing the last 5 years. I know I've been trained in this. I've been professionally trained in this. I know what I'm doing. Can you kind of move along, please? And you take the pictures, and they're like, yeah, but I like this angle better, and I like this angle better. And then the house is under contract in 2 days, and you're like,
I guess my angles are
excuse
just
me.
fine.
I do appreciate when people say stuff because sometimes it clicks something in me. I'm like, I never thought of that.
It's
But-
always
And I know,
good.
yeah.
But I'm talking about after
coaching
the fact.
people, right?
Correct,
So,
yeah.
But at the same time,
Sure.
like, you got a job, you know how to do it, and let me do it.
Yeah.
And if we need to adjust course, we'll adjust course. But right now,
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
are looking
Move on.
okay.
Move along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a fine line of like working together,
Yeah.
but not grasping at straws and just.
Yeah.
Well, and keeping in mind, like what you and I do, we have a lot of, even you, like we have realtors at a lot of different levels.
Right,
so
right.
they got people kind of in their ear telling them things. So
Yeah.
we always try to go
sure,
through and coach
sure.
them through. And the big thing with us is we always want to pre-train our realtors. If there is a circumstance where you don't have to bring us out, multiple times, because sometimes there's a re-inspection or whatever, or you can look at a property before hiring an inspector, and we've taught you things to look for before getting us out there and spending money,
Yes.
then that's something that they can appreciate and they can grow on.
Yes.
So we're really big. We do those mock inspections 2 or 3 times a year, and we bring agents out and they come and be a home inspector for a day. We say, hey, this is how you can look for what's good in a roof or what's good in a foundation, or
Yeah.
here's an issue with this.
Yeah.
And you can start teaching your buyers as well, because again, they're
Right.
looking at you to be the professional. So
Right.
here's your things.
So what are? Go ahead. Go ahead.
You just hit the nail on the head. Teach your client. Realtors, teach your client.
Yeah.
Because the most the realtors that we deal with the most throughput from beginning to end, and these people are whales in the industry. They deal with multiple listings per month. The ones that do the best will train their sellers. Okay, I realize you think you're a professional photographer, but just let them do what they do. Just trust the process.
Yep.
I realize you think you know something about real estate because you bought a house back in 1973.
It's just been a little bit.
You know what?
But things have changed
Listen.
since then.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you a prime example of when this is me back in the day when I used to just dance and go to auditions and stuff, and I was doing headshots, and they were black and white headshots. Okay, and I, the person who my agency was like, I want them to do your makeup, your hair. I know you're good at doing your stuff. Dakota was my nickname. They're like, Dakota, I know you're good at it, but it's very different, black and white pictures.
yeah.
So I wasn't with the red lipstick that was like my thing, right?
yeah, but
everything
black and
was very
white-
neutral because on black and white it looked like I was a goth girl. They were like, so everything, and literally I was so nervous because I was like, this doesn't even look like me. And then when I got the pictures, I was like, that's really what I look like.
Maybe somebody knew what they were
So
talking about.
So that's what I'm saying. So sometimes even when you're good at something, if there's any tweak in it, you're not good at it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways, okay, so when you're teaching your realtors, it is, okay, so let's all think of 3 things that and I'll go first so you know what I'm talking about, but I just, because there's things that I will talk to my realtors, new realtors that I come in contact with, that all my realtors that use me all the time, they know what it, right? So I always, these are the 3 things that I say. I just really need to know what kind of pay they get. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. So when you're sending me somebody, kind of get a feel for, like, are they oil?
Right.
Are they a truck driver? Are they a teacher? Are they nurses? Right. Like, are they self-employed? Waiters, waitresses? What you know what I'm saying? Let me know that. And that's just income stuff. Secondly, don't refer me as the person that's going to get the best rate. Do not refer me as the rate girl. Refer me as your trusted partner who will do anything that she can to make the process easy for you, understandable for you, and she will hold your hand throughout the entirety. Or if it's not your first rodeo, she'll cut to the chase, let you do the digging, blah, 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 done. Yeah. Right? Nice. Don't sell me on rate. So 1, what's their income? 2, don't sell me on rate. And then 3, don't assume what loan they're going to get. Because then they come to me and they're like, well,
when it's changed up, they're like, well, what happened?
Yeah, so because sometimes even people with great credit need to go FHA just because they're in their first job and the ratios are a little high, whatever, right? So those are the 3 things that I'll teach, like, you know, my realtors and stuff like that. So, no, what are 3 things that you like to, from you kind of gave some
our viewpoint, and we don't just do real estate, but on a real estate side, I guess our thing is, number 1, my first question is, what is your vision for marketing on this project? What are the high points that you want us to see, that you want your prospective buyers to see on this listing? What are you marketing towards? That's question number 1. Number 2, what do you want avoided in this thing?
What would you not want us to show?
Exactly.
Highlights, de-highlights.
Exactly.
The room
And
full
number
of mannequins, 3, just ignore that one.
Exactly. Number 3, tell everybody to go away.
Yeah.
You go away and let us shoot the thing.
Blank canvas, yeah.
Let
and
us shoot
clean.
the
Make
thing.
sure it's clean.
Oh, absolutely. We're not movers and we're not cleaners.
I'll tell you one of the things that I always cringe when I see, like, a conversation going between a realtor and a real estate photographer is they'll tell their client, don't worry, you know, they can virtually stage it or they can Photoshop it out. It's please don't. Just fix it.
Okay, so as a buyer, and as someone, you know, when I was looking for homes, when I would look at HAR, or when I would look at any listings, you know, wherever it was, the pictures, if it was staged, there was something about it that I was like, I can't get a feel for the size of the room. I can't get a feel. So I don't like when they inject, and I'm not talking about real furniture. I'm talking about when they inject pictures. Like when they virtually stage. Yeah, like virtually staging, I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of virtually staging, and I'm not a big fan of the photography that makes something look larger.
Yeah. No.
Those are the 2 things that I, as a visual person buyer, I don't like.
There are a ton of, since COVID, I can tell you firsthand, there are a ton of real estate photographers that have popped up around the Houston area.
And they make everything look skewed.
They have no idea what they're doing.
They're shooting with a massive fisheye.
They're shooting with a 10mm fisheye lens, you know. And you can always tell because you look at the edges on the photo and they go just like that, you know. But they don't know what they're doing. And proper virtual staging, Jen, I could show you examples of proper virtual staging.
Maybe I've just seen bad ones.
Where you would not be able to tell.
Yeah, there's some really good virtual staging.
I've run tests like this.
Yeah.
With our virtual staging, and I'm like, okay, tell me which ones are virtual.
Because virtual staging does look better than an empty house, for sure. But it's got to be done.
This room from that corner, right?
Yeah.
You have no gauge on how big this room is.
What we
versus
do,
like your living room.
What
so you
we
put
do
something in there.
when we do our virtual staging, number 1, every virtually staged photograph will have a disclaimer on it.
Okay.
This photo virtually staged. Okay.
Got it.
The one either before or after that will be the exact same space.
With nothing
not virtually
staged. Okay.
You know?
That's good then.
But we have run tests where we put virtually staged rooms together with professionally staged rooms done photography, and said, "Tell us which one's virtually staged."
We can't tell.
Nobody can tell.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, again, so this is why
It's all in the profession.
choose your photographer, right?
Yep.
And obviously, I mean, everybody's got to gain experience and stuff like that. We all
Right.
know money, we all grow. We all start from somewhere. But I have seen something I'm like,
Or the furniture's floating in the room.
yeah, that's what I mean. And the plant is like
Yeah, if it's
really
if
large.
You're gonna use
and-
stuff from a legitimate virtual staging, then it is too
okay.
like what is it, 2 degree or whatever
Yeah.
to the room. So if you have
Right.
a 3-foot couch in a 10-foot room, it looks like a 3-foot couch in a 10-foot room.
Right.
It's not like I cut and pasted this couch out of an IKEA catalog and
And I'll say
And
this.
those are sometimes
And
the
they
ones
exist.
that I've seen.
Yeah.
They do exist. So I can tell the listings that were professionally done and the listings that were like saving
Oh,
money.
sure. And I'll say this, and even when we put out content with virtually staged,
Yep.
look at our virtual staging. I will always say this: real, honest, professional staging is always, 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 always best.
Yes.
Yes,
I agree.
But if it's not in the budget,
Not an option.
let's talk about virtual
Virtual
staging.
staging. Yes.
But
correct.
the Bonnie Holcombs out there, Bonnie, I love you. I
I
love her work.
yeah,
I'm telling you.
I totally agree with you on that. I really like a space that
Yes.
yeah. So
And I tell you, I've never really worked with a whole lot of people that do in-house staging, and I went with a gal just to help her move furniture and everything. And they were doing this really cool house in Baytown, so it's very mid-century modern. I'm like, man, this stuff is it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
my jam, right? Like,
Right.
it's not what I'm feeling. And she had just this quirky sense, and that house sold in 3 days.
Yeah.
It fit the embodiment of that home, right?
well, yeah, because a lot of times too, when people are staging, or sometimes, again, just looking at houses. I'm just trying to go back to when we were looking for houses and things. A lot of buyers, and this is specifically talking for listing agents, a lot of buyers do not have the mental capacity to like visualize how well a house
Exactly.
could look. So if you have
Precisely.
a Galveston home, and we're talking with the historic windows and the wood floors and stuff, and it's staged like beach,
Yep.
sometimes that doesn't make sense to the buyer.
You're right.
Or if you've got like if you've got a beach home and it's got a cabin flavor of like, it's like what is
Bear in
going
the corner.
it's like what is going on? So sometimes this is staging but again,
break it.
That's
You know.
that's the whole thing. As a buyer, you don't give a crap about the furniture.
Yeah.
Okay, plain and simple. Unless the furniture's coming
Yeah,
with it.
unless you're buying it.
If you're buying it furnished, now
but
you care about it.
it
But
can't keep you from
most
visualizing.
of those are not.
Yeah.
That's not usually the case. Is you're buying the walls, you're buying the floor, that kind of thing. But what staging and virtual staging is intended to do is give you an idea of what the space can look like.
Meaning, if your listing agent says, listen, Joe and Janet, whatever, right? Joe Schmo, listen to me. I love your style, but let's take a little bit off the walls.
Back it off the man cave.
Take a little bit off the walls. They are not by any means disrespectful, because I even know my house, I would have to take some stuff down.
Oh yeah,
it
you
is
got
not
to
a
be
dig by any
personalized.
means.
It's not
They
a
don't
dig. It's
fit your
just
style.
it's just that if you have so much of a particular style,
Well,
somebody who doesn't have that style comes in your house.
Exactly.
And they're judging you on it.
It's hard for them to say, "Oh, I could see myself here."
Yeah.
and what we tell people
Yeah.
is it's one simple word: depersonalize.
Yes, yes.
It's not you buying your house again.
Exactly. We don't need to see your family portraits. We don't need to see your family name up on the wall.
You don't
Like
need
the ashes of all of your pets.
That's actually doing you.
You don't need your urns.
That's actually doing you zero favors in selling that place.
Have you ever virtually staged anything like weird into a photo, like Darth Vader or Where's Waldo or anything?
No.
Oh.
The
Just for
weirdest
shits and
thing is
giggles, never.
the weirdest thing we've ever staged into a photo was toilet paper.
Okay, just on the rollers or what?
No, on a tree outside.
That's great.
Now,
Oh,
keep in mind,
nice.
this was during COVID, during the big toilet paper crisis.
Yeah.
Very nice.
For the few
So we had
words.
this, and Jeff actually did this. It was
Like the house comes with
hilarious.
a lifetime supply.
We went through with the realtor, and they were like, We got to put toilet paper on the tree.
Done.
Yeah, but anyway, but other than that, no. We're more interested in things that are actually going to help sell a house.
So back to inspections and stuff like that, because we're
I'll tangent off all day long.
I will too.
you what?
I will
Tangent.
too on this.
Right? Seriously, we can digress.
It's a kink in my armor.
Because I'm all about, like, listen, we're all in the game of pushing homes, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so let me ask you, though, what's the biggest red flag you've seen on an inspection where you're like, you guys really need to take care of this before? Like, have you ever had a realtor...
For like a pre-listing or just something that we've come across?
Like, do you ever get pre-listings where they're like, hey, do we need to fix this before we list it? Do you ever have that?
The biggest ones we have are safety issues. So we had one time where the seller was a lady and her 2 kids. They were leaving as the guy showed up.
Yep.
She goes, I'm headed to a doctor's appointment. Just let me know when you're done. You know, we've all had these really bad headaches. I don't know what's going on, you know. So the guys get in there and they start inspecting, and they're up in the attic and they start getting dizzy. And they're like, what the hell? And carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
And her flue had become detached up in the attic.
Oh, no.
So from her hot water heaters just feeding carbon monoxide into the house.
Wow.
So things like that. We try to tell them, it's a safety issue, fix that right away.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
We had another one, teenage daughter's room, real messy, looks like a teenage kid's room. But she lives and dies by her phone, and she had it plugged in. And they're using the thermal camera, and they're looking at the wall, and there's this big hot spot right behind the receptacle. And it's just, there was a drywall screw that's touching the back of the wires.
Oh.
So it was arcing every time she plugged her phone in.
Wow.
So
that's basically that's where I was getting to. So do you have that relationship with some of your realtors where they're like, hey, Cheyenne, have somebody come out here before I list it and see if this is going to be an issue.
We do some pre-listings like that. I feel like people are a little bit more apt to do it now than they were like 2 or 3 years ago. Because 2 or 3 years ago, you could have bought a dump for like $200,000, right?
Yeah.
It didn't
No,
matter.
you were giving $250.
Yeah.
$250.
Yeah.
That's a dump. $250, girl.
But now, like, there are some people that feel like they want to fix something or they want to make it nice for the other people coming in. And then that's where the realtors talk, what's worth it to make the price worthwhile versus the time and the effort. And we'll never tell anybody you have to fix something. Again, it's very objective to who's buying it, who's selling it. We let people generally know the lifespans of things that they're trying to purchase. Mm-hmm. So again, they can start planning for replacing a roof or fixing the foundation.
Yep. Sure.
But one that realtors freak out a lot on is if they see the little foundation patches, the pad patches. Right? They're walking around and they'll see, hey, this has had past foundation repair. I can see the little cement things, and they're like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. Yeah. But in reality, what we tell them is, that is like having a brand new foundation. Yeah. Let's find out. Let's get that warranty and get it transferred over to your buyer, because those warranties last 10, 20, 30 years.
That means the work's already been done.
And let me ask you, too, because I have had, like, when there's foundation issues, that freaks people out. And I'm like, they have come so far in technology and advancement of equipment. They literally just stick it and they just... Yep. And it just lifts it. Yeah. So it's like so sometimes those overwhelming things are an easier fix than a lot of people think.
And we tell everybody it's not an if but when down here, because we have such crazy soil.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen at some point. So if you've already had some sort of repair, it's about the 90s houses, right? I grew up in LaPorte. Every house in LaPorte has had some sort of foundation.
Sinkhole.
Yeah, like built in the 60s and 70s.
Because they used to bury all their stuff that they didn't use.
Yeah, all their crap is buried up under the yard.
The yard would just...
But yeah, and it's so easy. They'll put a couple of piers or little jacks under there, and it's good to go.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes that's what I'm saying. If there's a realtor who's like, look, I know people freak out. I don't want people to freak out. We're in a market that stuff isn't moving as quickly. So when I have that buyer, I want to make sure it's solid. Yeah. So look at this now. And then if there's a foundation, it's just fix it. It takes...
Well, and some of the things that we see, and we hear it all the time from the buyer side, right, is when they request a whatever fix or a whatever money towards fixing it, they jack it up quite a bit. So say it's going to be a $300 fix on that seller's end. The buyer's agent will ask for like $1,200 in concessions. So could your guy fix it for $300 and not have to
see? And this is why I tell, like, I always, because a lot of times if somebody goes in there and they see the inspection, it comes back. They want to use their contractors, their people. They want to be in control of it. But if you get in front of it before you list it, it's all on you. You know what it is, and you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. So I agree with you. Sometimes if as a listing agent, if you think that there might be something like carbon monoxide,
Yeah.
or foundation issues, or flames going up my daughter's wall.
Let me
Something.
fix that.
Let's fix that
Yeah.
quick, because a lot of times those things take like 2-3 days to fix.
Yeah, it's not a big issue in fixing a lot of it. So.
I mean, and sometimes that's better than paint
Oh yeah.
because people want to paint anyways.
Yeah.
So fix the firewall.
The firewall.
You know, right. But yeah. So, anyways, that's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that you did those like pre-games. That's
we
nice
do
to
a
know
lot
that
of
you do
the
because I always
pre-lists.
wondered why do people just pre-game? Like they pre-game title. Like
Well,
are
and
there
a lot of
liens?
other states they do. It's kind of flipped. They don't do a buyer's inspection as much as they do seller's inspections because
Right.
they'll go ahead and fix whatever or figure out their pricing based off of that.
Yeah.
And then the buyer just comes in and purchases. So it's interesting being where we are. It's keeping us in business.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So moving forward, I would like to
Moving forward.
I would like to
You're scared
shift
too?
conversation a little bit into your photography business.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that process.
So, like I said, going into it, I was a mostly full-time photographer. I worked for Walgreens a little bit, but I was doing everything. Whatever people would let me shoot, I would shoot. I was happy to do that.
Yeah.
Then I started realizing, like, I don't like to shoot babies because babies you can't reason with. So I stopped photographing babies.
You're like, I don't know when they're peeing. I don't know when they're gonna throw up.
Yeah, like
When they're gonna move.
couple little poops on, I was done. So I started to specialize a little bit. I worked for a big company called Evoke, and they are a Houston-based photography studio that mainly photographs weddings. So I did that for years.
Yeah.
Really like that. And then I started working for a company that was doing traveling headshots, and that's where I started getting into the realtor stuff because I was going to Dallas and San Antonio and Louisiana and doing headshots at various offices. So really, headshots makes up about 90% of my business now.
Headshots are. Realtors are like politicians. I
They
don't care
always
what you
need it.
say. Like I tell realtors, I was like, you better be on your top game and get you a good headshot because people. Well,
I've
you
seen
know
some
what I mean? Your
good ones.
clientele is coming from what you look like in that picture.
If you ever just get a wild hair, Google like bad realtor headshots and just
Oh
see
my
what comes
gosh.
up.
Listen.
What amazes me is you go to
Sometimes I ask if I get this, I'm like,
You
are you
gotta-
spoofing me?
And that's just the product
that's
of
what
what
I'm
we've
saying
become.
right there. You go to some of these
product
realtor
of
events
us.
and you've seen the realtor headshots. We've seen this before in our business, and because they'll send us their headshot and we're like, okay, so this is who I'm meeting today.
Yeah, and you're always
And
looking around.
then this person shows up and we're like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I will say though, I do believe that if you're getting headshots, and say for instance your headshot, you're like, I don't know, but use the same person. If the quality was good, keep using the same person.
Yeah.
Because the more Cheyenne takes my picture, the more she's going to learn my angles and how I'm comfortable,
Yeah.
and she'll recognize that this is my face I like to show. That's why I sit on this side of the
Yep.
couch. I'm always going to be on this side of the pictures. Like this side, no. This side, yes. Right? So your photographer is going to learn about you the more you use them. I mean, celebrities have photographers that are like on
In
call.
their pockets,
yeah.
So it's like when you get your headshots, get them from the same person all the time. I know we like to share the love, but your photographer needs to be the same.
And it's really fun watching all, because I've been doing it for such a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll drive and be like, I did that billboard and that billboard, and I'll see. I was at the movies the other day.
Yeah.
There was one popped up at the movie theaters. And I'm like, it's really neat to see
Yeah.
people get to use those in their business. And
Yeah.
Oh, look. Hello. He just magically appeared to say
Yeah.
goodbye to everybody.
Here's
So-
a dog here now.
Anyways, are you coming to make us say goodbye? I guess we've spoken on just about everything.
We're done
We
well.
kind of took a detour on a few things. It was interesting though.
I love the detours.
You're gonna have to come
I knew
back.
we were going to go over on this one
Cheyenne's
because
full
I
of
knew
way more information.
I knew Cheyenne was a photographer, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we're chasing rabbits
so
here.
we'll put all of Cheyenne's details so you can
Yep.
get in touch with her.
And
So
I gotta write
obviously,
down in the description.
inspections, photography. I'm gonna hit you up for family.
Yep.
Even though she did my headshot, so you can go check out my headshot. She did a good job. John, obviously, we always put our info in there, anyways. But
Yeah, it's always.
yeah. So
Well, so
anyways.
we have, coming up in October when it's not 1,000 degrees outside for my realtor friends or anybody who just is a buyer and wants to come and see, we are going to do another mock inspection. So come out and be the inspector for the day, see how and what we inspect on and how we write the reports. So look for that on our Facebook page and follow us on all of our socials. And we'd love to just work with you.
That'll be fun.
I'm gonna be there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll put all the connects.
Yeah.
Down
all
below.
the connections.
So, anyways, well, thank you for coming by, Cheyenne.
Thanks for having
I
me.
appreciate it.
This one has been exceptionally fun for me.
Oh,
This
good.
one has
I know.
been fun.
We'll talk shop after this.
Listen, these two right here, little minds are going.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for hanging out. Hopefully, you guys had a good time. If you don't stay for the whole thing, at least fast forward and see if you can get some good clips out of there. Because we covered a lot of stuff.
Really good. Really
yeah,
good.
appreciate you hanging out for a little bit.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining us.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.